Do you remember that 80s movie about an unstoppable killer robot that had travelled through time to kill the future savior of humanity, and there was a ton of tension, drama, and compelling character arcs amidst some of the most creative violence of all time? I wouldn't mind watching a film like that again. Hi, I'm Ross, and I love movies. Usually. Whenever you mention the word remake in a conversation about film, either you will A. be told that original content is the only thing to appreciate and value, or B. you'll be found the next morning in the junkyard with more than a couple of bruises and the words uncultured swine tattooed on your forehead. And yeah, these are understandable. Some of the worst films of all time have been remakes, the blame usually pinned on shameless corporate studios that never intended to create a good movie in the first place, but instead a profit. And Terminator Genisys is the perfect example of that. But I do believe it is actually possible to make a good remake. How? Well, you see, a big reason remakes fail is because they try too hard to capture the spirit of the original, and as a result, they are unsuccessful. Companies seem to think that showing familiar scenes, lines, and imagery will be enough to make fans happy. But these films often come off as having no personality of their own, offering a bland experience that they didn't need to see. To truly create a new, yet nostalgic experience, you need to focus more on the themes of the movie, and maybe dive a little deeper, and perhaps add new intriguing characters, plot points, and make some really cool scenarios that fans would love to see but did not get the chance to in the original. Don't necessarily keep a film's plot, but instead just the premise. The premise is all you should need to craft a good story, and it's for this reason I would like to use Terminator as an example of how I can see a remake working. Now, in case you're wondering why a remake and not a sequel, it's because this timeline is so incredibly screwed up. Thank you, Genisys. Also, Arnold, he's just depressing to look at these days. So, how do you make a good Terminator remake? Step 1. The protagonist is on the run from a terrible bad guy. Make sure that the Terminator is always viewed as a constant threat. The protagonist can't seem to catch a break, and the quest to fight back seems to look more and more impossible. Step 2. The stakes are if the good guy dies, then all humanity perishes in the future. Showing the importance of your main character and or their escort shows how essential their survival is. And step number 3. Make sure that there's a lot of blood and explosions. People are under the influence that the old Terminator films are sci-fi films, but they're actually just really incredible action films. Don't focus on the specifics, just make stuff look cool, please. Now, the filmmaker can build layers onto that, but as long as these rules stay intact, you can go crazy with the Terminator concept. It can be a lot deeper beneath the surface, perhaps add some commentary on politics or fear or destiny, you know, that dumb stuff. But all you need is a heart-pounding, non-stop blockbuster carnage on the screen, and, as much as we hate to admit it sometimes, that can be pretty sweet. A big reason Genisys failed was because it made the lore and plot details so complicated, especially with the time travel stuff, to a concept that benefited from being very simple. Again, these 3 points. Tell me you don't want updated, fast-paced action scenes of robots fighting to the death for the fate of humanity. I'd see that. Surely somebody can make a good movie out of the Terminator premise. Let's look at a movie that updated a franchise while making a lot of changes.
I know you know what I'm talking about.
Spider-Man Homecoming. The movie has a great script and characters, as every movie should strive for, but notice how they didn't achieve this by merely copying and pasting elements that worked in the past editions. What they did was create a different story, different goals, and even made unique allies and villains. The reason they're still beloved isn't even tied to the franchise they're in, but merely a way for people to pay attention. Don't be afraid to add your own style, or arcs, or obstacles. It's easy to feel pressured into redoing the stuff that worked in the original, but to recap, being a clone of the original won't work because you can't live up to nostalgia. Just keep these 3 rules in mind: villain, stakes, action. Have confidence in your own writing, and you'll be fine, I promise. Let's look at another example involving a fellow revived 80s blockbuster, Mad Max Fury Road. It beholds how limitless cinema can be when in the hands of incredibly talented people who used both old and new techniques of crafting action, being realistic and over the top at the same time. It expanded the world by using new characters and gimmicks. Seriously, you really think that a ton of special effects artists wouldn't kill to work on a Terminator movie? It's probably helped inspire a whole generation of people. You think they wouldn't bring their A-game? Speaking of A-game, let's look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's iconic and a big reason many won't remake it, and feel they'll get backlash for replacing him. But it's not impossible to find a good actor to play his role. The Terminator is a fearless warrior that wears sunglasses at night. Arnold's amazing, but irreplaceable, it isn't the word that comes to mind. We have Vin Diesel, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Dave Bautista, Henry Cavill, Tom Hardy, Christian Bale, the guy playing Aquaman, Hugh Jackman, Idris Elba, Lena Headey, Karen Gillan, J.K. Simmons, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Jamie Foxx, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Alex Jones, Stephen Carlson, you know what I mean. Seriously, some amazing films can be crafted from an already existing premise. Look at how the Thing movies have evolved. So if you think a Terminator film, one that purely focuses on the action aspect instead of the time travel gimmick, and is given the freedom to add new additions to the universe with updated technology, if you think that can't work, then I guess you just have a different opinion than me. And that's wrong.
Hey guys, it's the end of the video message. I want to say if you agreed, disagreed, or just didn't care, let me know in the comments. And subscribe. And if you want to see a Terminator movie, what cool stuff do you think we should see? Who do you want to play the Terminator? I'm really banking on my Alex Jones theory, but do whatever you want. See you next time.